Hello, everybody. It's Mike Zimmer from Zimco Sports, Zimco Entertainment. Hopefully, here having a wonderful Monday. Watching the trade deadline. It's working on 7 o'clock here in the Eastern Time Zone. Trade deadline has come and passed for the Major League Baseball season for 2026, and man, it was an active year. Kind of surprising to see who went in and who kind of checked out and unloaded as we head through the stretch run in Major League Baseball. So, Zim and the Husky fellow, you can see the logo behind me, coming back before too long, but this is just Zim and Zimco Sports. I wanted to go back over a big day in Major League Baseball as far as the trade deadline was concerned, and it got off early. Uh, it wasn't a surprise that maybe the Orioles were shopping Adley Rutschman, their catcher, a couple of All-Star games. He goes to the Red Sox in exchange for a bag of balls and some bubble gum. Kind of surprised that he got traded in division. That's a big move for the Red Sox. You remember they got off to that brutally bad start earlier this season, got really hot, won 15 games in a row right around the All-Star break and after. They've been pretty good. They're back in the divisional race. They get the catcher that they needed. A couple other corresponding moves to go with that. We'll get to that in just a minute. The Phillies also got Luis Ariz from the Giants. So the idea there is that they'll put him at second base. Alex Bohm goes to first. Stott goes to third, and that puts your boy, the big lefty bat, out in right field. So it will be Bryce Harper. We'll see how that works out. Rise has he's got amazing stats. He gets on base. He's never found a home. He's been through a couple different teams now, and I'm just surprised. Obviously, going to the Giants aren't in it. They unloaded a few pieces and parts. That included Robbie Ray going from the Giants out to the Padres. I was surprised. I thought maybe the Padres would be one of those teams that would probably deconstruct. They're not having a good year. Offense has been just miserable, one of the worst in Major League Baseball. But all of a sudden, they're having trouble getting guys out. They got a good bullpen, and there was thoughts of maybe they might move Mason Miller and some of those other pieces, and apparently that was not the case. And apparently they said they're going to hold on to them, so they get Robbie Ray. They also came back later in the day. And I'll get to that. They got Casey Mize from the Tigers. Mize is one of those guys that I asked Brian. Brian's a big the Husky fellow, if you don't know who I'm talking about, big Tigers fan. And I asked, I said, would they really move Casey Mize? And he's like, yeah, he's kind of gotten to a point where he's not going to get any better. Well, he's better than who the Padres have, that's for sure. He's had injury issues though, so we'll see that. And that's one of the biggest problems with the Padres is Michael King and Nick Pivetta. They've both been on the shelf back and forth all season long. Let's see. The Yankees were expected to make a move, maybe try to find a catcher. They got Helio Ramos from the Giants. It's not a catcher, it's an outfielder. The Guardians were very active today. I have a hard time calling them the Guardians. It's always going to be the Indians to me. The Tribe, they made a number of moves. I'm going to mention those. Joe Adell was the first though. They get him from the Angels. Joe Adell's got all the power in the world, but he hits about a buck 87. This is another guy that's kind of a quadruple A player, but as a rental and for who they traded him for, it's a flyer. Maybe the guy gets hot and you got a Jorge Solar kind of bat that comes alive when you need it. The Mariners got Taylor Ward from the Orioles. Ward has had a very disappointing season. Maybe a change of scenery will help them. The Mariners' offense have been stuck in neutral most of the season. They're just now starting to get a little hot. Cubs were very active today. Their first move was Clay Holmes and Tyrone Taylor coming from the Mets. Clay Holmes has been on the disabled list most of the season this year. He has closing experience. He's going to give depth to that Cubs bullpen. The Rays, they got a catcher. Liam Hicks comes over from the Marlins. And the Marlins, who had been a good story most of the season, they went through that rough stretch recently. They lost, I think, 12 or 13 in a row. They decided they're not in it anymore, so they didn't unload everybody. They moved a couple guys, and Liam Hicks is a nice addition to the Rays because he can play a little first base, he can catch. They've had a pretty good go, the Rays, with the catching guys that they have, but they need a little more offensive production. Maybe Hicks is the guy to do that. Again, the Guardians active. They get Foster Griffin from the Nationals. If you haven't been paying attention, Foster Griffin's had an extremely awesome season this year. He was an all-star, 11-3 on the season so far. He pitched the last several seasons over in, I think, Korea. It was Korea, Japan. I can't remember. He's been really good. He's got some experience where maybe that young staff, he blend in with the Guardians, and they've got a couple guys there, including Gavin Williams, that are lights out. So the Guardians did get in on the game here. They also picked up Nathaniel Lowe, as we mentioned, from the Reds. I think I mentioned that one earlier. They got Joe Adell. They get Nathaniel Lowe. The Pirates were very active. The Pirates are back a game under 500. This is a team that's one of the best in the business in offense. They've got a hell of a lineup, but their bullpen has been atrocious, and they loaded up today. They got Luke Weaver from the Mets. He'll give them some innings in the middle. He can close a little bit. He's got nasty stuff. They also got very late Kirby Yates from the Angels. Yates is the first guy that they have gotten that has proven closing experience. He was a closer for the Padres and the Braves, and he's been around. He's 39. Angel's been a grease fire this year. He hasn't had a lot of work. So the Brewers also bullpen. They loaded up Antonio Senzatala from Colorado. They also got Dusty May and Jojo Romero from the Cardinals. Um, the Astros, kind of a surprise team in the trade market. They picked up Dalton Varsho from the Blue Jays for Spencer Arrighetti. Arrighetti was once a hot end prospect. He's kind of plateaued, maybe a change of scenery type thing. And the Blue Jays are cashing out. Went to the World Series last year. They're firmly under 500 this year. So apparently they decided that's it. We'll get out of the business. Cubs also got Braxton Garrett. Let's see, the Dodgers. Man, they made the biggest trade already. The biggest name at the deadline was, of course, going to be Tarek Skubal. Skubal they sent back a bag of riches. I mean, now the guys they got back, Detroit got a pretty good haul on the back end, but it's a good move for the Tigers because they weren't going to re-sign Tarek Skubal. It's a bad move for baseball because the Dodgers are the only team that can basically do that, then turn around and sign him to a $300 million contract. So it's kind of sad, but they picked up Chris Bubich today from the Royals. Bubich has had some issues this year staying healthy, but he's been pretty good in the past. The Twins, a surprise mover in the deadline era, that AL Central is pretty poor. So they decided to go out and make a move. They got Jeff Hoffman, a proven closer. They pick him up from the Blue Jays. He's been not great this year, but he does have closer experience. The surprise thing, the Twins are picking up his the remainder of his contract, which was like 11 million bucks for the year. Kind of surprising. The White Sox were very active. Brenton Doyle comes over from the Rockies for them. They also picked up, let's see who else the White Sox. I got Joey Bart from the Braves to help add some depth to their catching. The Phillies picked up Brooks, left-handed pitcher Brooks Raley. The Cubs got another reliever, Ryan Zefferjan. Got another guy who's going to give them some depth in the bullpen. Let's see. I mentioned Kirby Yates went to the Pirates. Let's see. The Red Sox and Braves made a kind of an interesting little trade. Eli White goes to the Red Sox for a minor leaguer, and the thought was that the Braves were going to make a big move for Juan Soto of the Mets, and it didn't come to pass. Eli White has been a guy off the bench. He's been their fourth outfielder all year. The Rays added a bullpen piece in Tyler Wells from the Orioles, as we mentioned, full unload for the O's this year. Braves also got Brett Suter, left-handed guy, add some depth. They have basically been running guys up and down from their AAA affiliate to fill holes because their starting pitching hasn't been very good. And that leads to another big rumor that was out there that the Braves had kicked the tires on Jacob deGrom. deGrom has pitched well this year. Not great. He's never probably going to be the guy he ever was before, but he actually nixed being traded from the Rangers. Didn't want to go anywhere. And why he wouldn't want to go and be part of the Braves staff, along with Chris Sale and a couple of the pieces that they have. The Braves team is very competitive this year. They're going to make the playoffs. Why wouldn't you want to go make a playoff run with the Braves? And oh, by the way, they'll pay you because if they're going to trade for you in that instance, come on over for a couple seasons. I never have understood Jacob DeGrom. I really haven't. I think this just kind of proves that, the guy was a never was. He's just a never was. Let's see. What else do we have? Yesterday, a couple of big moves happened. The Cubs got Kevin Gausman from the Blue Jays. That's going to help their rotation for sure. The Cubs have had so many injuries in the pitching department, especially in their starting rotation. They've moved through a lot of guys. The Rays also have kind of they've got three good pieces that are part of their starting rotation. They pick up Freddie Peralta from the Mets, and that is another big piece that can help them in this stretch here. I'm a look. The Rays also can get the best out of guys, and he's back with his old pitching coach. The pitching coach for the Rays was with, he's a guy that can work with certain guys and make them better. So maybe the change of scenery helps Freddie Peralta, and he gets there and does great because as a Rays fan, I want that to happen. The Yankees also got Luis Garcia from the Nats yesterday. The Braves picked up Tyler Malley. He's 3-9 this year. He's got all these intangibles, and again, maybe a change in scenery is going to help him. The problem is his strikeout numbers are down, his home run numbers are up, and he was pitching in San Francisco. So there you go. The White Sox got Brazabon from the Mets. Let's see, and of course we already had the big move with Scooble, as we mentioned. A couple other teams got some pitching help. The White Sox got Luis Castillo from the Mariners. The Mariners kind of got tired of his act. The Braves got Lane Thomas, and I was a little surprised about that. But that's also made Eli White, a little more expendable. That's for sure. The Brewers got Bo Naylor from the Guardians. It was kind of strange. The Tribe had big hopes for Bo Naylor. Never came around. Twins got Dean Kramer as well. AJ Mentor went from the Mets to the Twins. So again, the Twins pretending like they're in things. All right, why not? So there you go. Those are the major moves that have happened over the last couple of days, and we're looking for any other late ones that came through. And I don't think there are. But anyway, there was a lot of buzz. There was a lot of movement today in Major League Baseball. And you know what? I'm going to enjoy this as we head down the stretch because here comes the bad news. If you've listened to anything that I've had to say where it concerns sports and baseball over probably the last 9 months to a year, the rumors are out there that there's not going to be a season next year. Why? How? Well, they're working out the last few days or weeks of the collective bargaining agreement and the contract with the players. That runs out right after the World Series. The owners are dead set on a salary cap. The players' union had said they'll never accept a salary cap. There is a dissenting group within the owners that do not want a salary floor. That would be the rich teams. Because basically, the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Cubs of the world can go out and get whoever the hell they want at any given time, spend as much as they want. Well, they'll accept a cap because, got to work with the cap. But floor is the problem. A lot of the poor teams, as we might call them, like the Pirates and the Royals, they're never going to accept the salary floor because, well, why would we have to do that? Or they'll do ridiculous. They'll spend right at the floor and no more. They'll say, well, look, we're spending the 139 million, 200 million, whatever the floor is. Meanwhile, the other teams like the Dodgers and everybody else, they'll set that cap at 300 something million. It's a non-starter for the players. Keep this in mind. So they're going to have a strike and or lockout. I think that's a given, which means we're probably not going to have a spring training down here in Florida. And I was talking to the Husky fellow this past weekend, and the over/under we have for a first game at all for Major League Baseball next year would be July 16th. And I doubt that happens. I think they are prepared from what you read in rumors and the insiders. There are owners that are dead set. Well, we can burn a year. That's how not poor they are. They can afford to burn a year because they want to get what they want. And the players will run out of money before the owners. The guys will start screaming, "We want to go back to play. We want to get paid." So yeah, it's sad. And like I said, that's why the Tarek Skubal deal. The Tigers were in a no-win situation. They weren't going to spend the money. They haven't had a problem spending money on players in the past, but they weren't going to line up 300 million for Tarek Skubal, especially after some injury concerns this year. That put the kibosh on there on that proposition altogether right there. They got a good return for what you're going to get. You're not going to get, frontline play. You're not going to get Freddie Freeman back in that deal. But they got good prospects and a couple guys that probably would be able to play next year. Um, the Dodgers, though, and Scooble made some stupid comments. Is well, they're the kind of team that gets things done. Well, of course, they're one of a few teams that can actually do that, and it just makes it kind of sad for baseball fans that we're basically going to get the Dodgers back in the series this year. It's going to be whoever in the Dodgers. I'm a firm. Uh, yeah. Why would you bet against them? I mean, I think it's best for baseball that you don't because these dynasties like this, they just ruin the hope for anybody else. I mean, let's talk about the Pirates, who are having a great season by any other measure. They're still a game under 500. Their owner has been cheap and will not go and get the right kind of guys that he needs for the pitching staff. They've relied on mostly junk, and then of course their electric young guys like Ashcraft and of course Skeens. Skeens has not been great lately, by the way. They rely on that. Well, they got him some offense. Well, but the bullpen it was a joke. And then you have the resourceful teams. You have the Rays, which it's amazing to me. They had kind of an off year last year, and it was it was tough from the jump for the Rays because they weren't at home in the dome. They got worn out playing in the heat down there at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, and not being back in the air conditioned dome. It was a big deal, and it wore that team down. And that the ball jumped out of that ballpark as well. It helped them. They had a better record there, but at the same time, it wore the players out. The Rays find a way, though, to be resourceful, to be competitive. They find guys that meet their analytical and payroll needs. They get guys to come through their system. They draft well. They promote within their system. Their minor league system is one of the best in all of baseball every year, and they're able to turn guys over when they can, and they can trade them for prospects, or they play them, or they get a guy like Curtis Mead just got traded, by the way, earlier this year from the Nationals to the Red Sox. First game gets hit on the wrist, he's out for however long. But Curtis Mead was a Rays prospect. He was a guy that came up in their system and just he didn't hit enough to stay with them. So there you go. That's my thought on baseball. Anyway, we've got a couple more weeks here to go before football gets going, and of course, the NFL's preseason games start this week. So Brian and I will be back. The Husky fella, if you don't know who that is, we'll be back. We'll be talking some more sports in the next couple weeks, doing our college football preview. Um, it's going to be a little different than what we've done in the past. We used to go team by team in every conference, and 138 of them. We kind of decided last year to kind of change the way we did that, and we're not going to do as much this year. We're still going to talk about all the mid majors and all the smaller conferences because that's what I'm interested in. But we're also going to talk about the big games and the big each week and the big conferences. There's been a lot that has happened with college football this last several months since we've done our last podcast. Man, you want to talk about the landscape changing? It ha- it's it's ever changing. If you haven't been paying attention, we have a lot to inform you about. Again, 138 teams this year. We're actually going to be heading up to see. We're not. I don't want to spoil it yet, but we will be on the road this year to see college football game should be a lot of fun. We'll have more information on that. But there you go, ladies and gents, a rundown of the trade deadline deals in Major League Baseball for Zimco Sports. Don't forget to come out and play trivia this week at one of our fantastic venues, and make sure to send this all to your friends. So anyway, have a great week.